Hey guys, so today I am going to show you how to break down and answer the paired questions on the STAR test. We're going to go through two examples using the two passages that you read today in class. Living alone maybe is the new norm, and will Wi-Fi on Mount Everest ruin Mount Everest? So let's go ahead and get started. Example 1 says, both articles conclude with a what? So I'm looking for something that they both end with because I know that conclude means end. So I'm going to go back and read the ending of both articles. This is living alone is the new norm. It ends like this. This means that living alone can help us discover who we are as well as what gives us meaning and purpose. Paradoxically, living alone might be exactly what we need to reconnect. Then I am going to read the end of Will Wi-Fi Ruin Mount Everest? We are far past the time when we can expect it to find a Shangri-La anywhere beyond the reach of the internet. But as the world races towards connectivity, travelers might stop to consider why we travel in the first place and which connections we really want to make. So now I'm going to go ahead and set up my strategy. So I know that I want both articles to have one of these things, right? I'm looking for something that they both have. So you'll see right here in my picture, I went ahead and I put a check by both article names, right? So I want living alone to have this aspect and also the Wi-Fi article to have this aspect. So let's go ahead and look at A. It says a bold contradiction. A bold contradiction is something that is like a difference in opinion, right? So I know that living alone, paradoxically, living alone might be exactly what we need to reconnect. That is kind of a contradiction, right? Because that's not what what people really think. However, will Wi-Fi return to Mount Everest? That's not a contradiction. The Wi-Fi is literally everywhere. He is not saying anything different than what we know. So I would go ahead and I would put a check by living alone and an X by the Wi-Fi, right? You see what we're doing now? Let's go ahead and look at B. B says a stern warning. So a stern warning. I don't really see a warning in living alone. Let me highlight this so y'all can see it better. To help us discover who we are. I feel like that's not really a warning at all. You can maybe kind of make an argument for a warning in will Wi-Fi return. Kind of thinking about what connections we really want to make. So I'm going to go ahead and put a check and a question mark under the W for B and then an X 100% for living alone. Remember, I am looking for two checks. A reflective suggestion. Let's go ahead and look. A reflective suggestion. Well, it does say it might give us meaning and purpose, and it might be exactly what we need to reconnect. We could definitely say that that would be a suggestion. Wi-Fi, it's looking at travelers need to stop and consider why we travel and what connections we really want to make. Okay, so both of those are suggestions that you think about, right? Reflective suggestions. So I would put two checks for C. So I always, because it's the STAR test, I want to read all answer choices. So a pessimistic prediction. If you do not know what the word pessimistic means, you 1000% need to look it up. How can you answer a question if you don't know the meaning of a word? So pessimistic means seeing the worst aspect of things or believe that the worst will happen. So this is like a really negative prediction. So let's go ahead and look at my examples. This is the opposite of negative. So Wi-Fi says that we just need to stop and think about what connections we make. So actually neither of them are predictions. So I put two X's. Again, we are looking for two checks. So my answer is C, a reflective suggestion. You'll see on my picture that I wanted two checks at the top, and then C gave me my two checks. Let's go ahead and look at example 2. Example 2, the question states, which statement does only will Wi-Fi ruin Mount Everest support? So I am looking for a statement that is only supported by the Wi-Fi article. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and set up my strategy to have a X by living alone and a check by Wi-Fi. I only want the Wi-Fi article, okay? If living alone has a check underneath it, then it's not right. So let's look at A. A says the internet has changed our way of connecting. I would say 1000% that will Wi-Fi ruin Mount Everest talks about how internet has changed the way that we connect with people. Living alone doesn't really talk about the internet. It talks about how we connect with people, but it doesn't talk about the internet. So I would put a check and an X next to A. I do realize that this is what I want, but I'm going to read all of my options because it's the STAR test and sometimes they give us two answer choices that are right. Change is inevitable. Again, if you do not know what a word is, you need to look it up. So I'm going to look up the word inevitable for us. And it means certain to happen or unavoidable. So it says that change is unavoidable. Okay, well, living alone talks about how society is changing and evolving, so they would agree with that. And then Wi-Fi talks about how the internet is changing everything. So that would be two checks on B. C says most people have social media. Okay, wait. What? Did either of them actually mention social media? I know that Wi-Fi talked about email and a phone call, but I don't think that it talked about social media. So I'm going to put two X's on C. And then D. Being alone does not mean you are lonely. Well, we 1000% know living alone is the new norm, supports that statement. And then will Wi-Fi ruin Mount Everest? I would say that it kind of touches on the statement, but not enough where it would agree with that statement. So I would put a check and an X. So again, remember, we are looking for an X with LA and a check with W. And we see that in answer choice A, the internet has changed our way of connecting. You'll see in the picture I highlighted what we wanted and then the answer choice. I do realize that on these paired questions you're doing on the hub that you don't necessarily have a space to do this strategy. However, you probably have a paper and a pencil, something that you can write on at your house, and this will help you work through these problems. Paired questions are going to be on your final, guys, and I want you to use this strategy. Please let me know if you have any questions.